And there you will find, if you do not meet the requirements of privacy, most of the time you have to pay a fine.
I have a dream, that's all I need. I'll make it happen with some work and belief.
What should my privacy policy say? Interesting one. So if you look at this, what should my privacy policy say? Why are you collecting data? And what's your goal? How are you collecting data? Where are the data? Where do you store those data? And how are you going to use it? And when people practice the law by saying, okay, you know what, you have some data about me, I want you to delete it. How are you going to delete it? How they can contact you? All those things are important. And most of the time you have a specific part in the law where they say what you need to put in the privacy policy. But at the end of the day, if you do a PIA, PIA means Privacy Impact Assessment. This is an A. Privacy Impact Assessment. That means you have, well, by doing this on Privacy Impact Assessment, you have a document that says why you're collecting data, what data you're collecting, and how you're collecting them, and is it according to law. If you let someone do a Privacy Impact Assessment for you, a specialist, they can tell you that. And based on those information, you can put this in your privacy policy. And most of the time when you do this, right, and you let it review by another person, you will meet the requirements of the law. But just remember, it's always dependent on your target group, because the privacy of Europe is not the same as the privacy of Canada. It's not the same as the USA. Yes, there are some similarity, but there's also some things that are not the same. So when you look at this, when you're creating a privacy policy, or when you're doing a privacy impact assessment, you need to look at the rules in the EU, look at the rules in the Canada, look at the rules in the US. It depends where your customers are. If they're in the EU, you don't need to worry about this. If they are in Canada, you don't need to worry about this. In the US, the same. Even if they are in Australia, you do not need to worry about this. Hopefully you understand what I mean. So think about those things. Always look at where's my target group and what can I put into it. And most of the time the law is saying what you can put into it. And think about, when I'm collecting data, do I need the data? If you do not need it, don't collect it. Don't ask it. Don't ask about age if you're not going to use it. Don't ask about color of eyes if you're not going to use it. Hopefully you understand what I mean. So if you're not going to use something, don't ask about it, because most of the time it's safe. If you ask about data that you are not going to use, people will start asking questions. Why are you asking this? And that can bring you in trouble. It can also damage your reputation in some cases if it goes too far. Why are you asking those situations? What are you doing with this data? So if you look at this, what's important is you need to figure out where is your target group. How should I structure my privacy policy? Doesn't matter. Seriously, it doesn't matter. How you structure it doesn't matter. What matters is that you inform your customer. So if you have a customer of someone that visits your website, or someone's using your services and you're collecting data for them, you need to inform them. It doesn't matter how the structure is, as long as you inform them and as long as they understand what's in it and what you're doing with this data. Because if they do not understand it, you have a problem. So if you look at it, the structure doesn't matter. What matters is if they can understand what's in the privacy policy and what happened with this data and what the rights are. That matters. So what's the difference between a privacy policy and a disclaimer? What's the difference between a privacy policy and terms of and condition? Interesting part, really interesting part. So we're gonna have three things, three legal documents. We have here a disclaimer, we have here a privacy policy, and we have here terms of condition. Of term and conditions, doesn't matter how you call it. So we have three legal documents. I made another video about this, or before I said this. Disclaimer, statement, not important. It's just there to scare people away. Privacy policy is also a statement, but it's required by the law because you need to inform the people what you're doing with their data. You do not always need it, but if you meet the requirements of the law, most of the time you do need it when you're collecting data. So if you're collecting data of your customer, you will need it to inform them what you're going to do with the data. So here, this is not required by law. It's required by law if you're collecting data. So here we see the difference, but it's also a statement. It's a way of you saying, this is what you're allowed to do, this is what we're going to do with your data. It's a statement that you're saying. Yeah. Term of condition, the difference between is, you do not need to accept the privacy policy. What people don't understand, you do not need to accept. It's a statement. You do not need to accept the statement, or you do not need to agree with this privacy policy. The privacy policy is there. What you need to agree upon is that you read it. That's a big difference. Most of the time you see when you check out, you agree with the privacy policy and the terms and conditions. No, hey, you can put like, I hereby confirm that I read the privacy policy. Then it's okay, because then you confirm it, but you do not need to accept it. That's a big difference. And what people, it's a small thing, really. It's a really small thing, but it can go really wrong when you break when you have a problem about your privacy policy. Because it's not about accepting, it's about informing people. I hope you understand what I mean. If you accept the privacy policy, does it mean that you read the privacy policy? Because most time when people accept the terms and conditions, they do not read it. But what you need to put during the checkout, so I'm talking about if you're online, you're going to check out, don't put you accept the privacy policy. Put hereby you confirm that you read the privacy policy. Because it's just a statement. You do not need to accept it. Term of condition, on the other hand, you need to accept it, because, like I said in a couple of videos, you have an offer where you buy something. It can be a product or service. And then here you see, by accepting this offer, you also accept the terms of condition. And these two become a contract between the customer and you or your company. This become a contract. That's why I use terms of conditions of terms of services. Doesn't matter. Yeah? And that's the difference. This is, you need to accept it in order to become a contract. Then you have a contract between two people or people and a company. But the privacy policy is just a statement. Hopefully you guys understand this different, and hopefully you know what to do. Terms of condition you need to accept. Privacy policies just need to get informed what they do with your data. If you want to know what they do with the data, read the privacy policy. So what happened? So we talk about the difference between disclaimer, terms of condition, and privacy policy. So the next question is, what happened if I don't have a privacy policy on my website or app? Ooh, interesting question. Question you need to ask yourself, what are the privacy rules in my country? So what happened if I don't have a privacy policy on my website or app? First question, what are the privacy rules in my country? Privacy rules, country. Second, what are the consequences? What are the consequences? Because most of the time, if you do not meet the requirements, you have to pay a huge fine. So you need to look this up. So if you are in the US, let's say you are in the US, you need to look the rules about privacy. And if you're in Canada, the same rule about privacy. In the Europe, you need to look at the GDPR. This that's the rules about company GDPR. If you're in Australia, the same. Look about the rules about privacy. And there you will find, if you do not meet the requirements of privacy, most of the time you have to pay a fine. And you're thinking about, okay, how can they find out? People can complain to the authority of privacy in that country. And when they complain to the authority of privacy in that country, they can come after you, because they will do a research, they will investigation. They will do an investigation. After that, if they found out you are guilty according to law, they will come after you. It's that simple. So what will happen if I don't have a privacy policy on my website? No, that's not the question that you need to ask yourself. You need to ask yourself, what happens if I do not meet the requirement of the law? And the problem is, as soon as there is an investigation, they can come after you. How should I get my user to agree to my policy? You don't. Privacy policy is a statement. Like I said, it's a way of you informing your user what will happen with the data on the platform. What you need to say to them is, okay, as soon as you make an account, you agree that you read the privacy policy. But don't say agree, you confirm that you read. So as soon as you create an account on your website or platform, you make sure that you make a statement like, when you create an account, you confirm that you read the privacy policy. You don't need to say you accept the privacy policy. No. Because if they do not accept it, they do not create a privacy policy, and it's not a contract between you, the user, and the platform. It's just a statement. Yeah. So I hope you guys understand this about privacy policy. It can be complicated, and hopefully it's not that complicated for you. If you have questions about privacy or anything, feel free to contact me. And what you need to know is, you can just go on Discord, ask me question directly. Just remember, you have to become a YouTube member in order to contact me directly on Discord. So if you're new to this channel, don't forget to subscribe.
I have a dream, that's all I need. I'll make it happen with some work and belief. Know what I want, so I'll take it on. I've made mistakes, but mistakes make you strong. Let's break it down for a minute. I want the crown, I'm gon' get it. You hear me loud, man, I'm winning. Yeah, Charlie Sheen will be great.